Dinklage, Dinklage, is not only the only one angered by Disney's So White, according to MSNBC. Let me fix my screen because, of course, on a live show, you never know what's going to happen. Okay. This is from MSNBC. Disney said it would consult with the little person community to make sure their new movie isn't offensive. My biggest problem with the whole Dinklage thing and Snow White and the dwarfs and stuff like that is that we're becoming so dumbed down right now where you have certain class of citizens, certain class of people who can only be allowed to be shown in a positive light regardless of the story. Because you don't want to offend anyone. Or if there's like what the culture deems as a marginalized community, you can only make those people in a certain way. You can only portray them in a certain way. You can't actually just create a story, create a narrative based on whatever you want. And I think a lot of it has to do with, let's say, earlier this week, actor Peter Dinklage, rightfully, according to MSNBC, lambasted Disney's for rebooting the movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs as a live-action film. Dinklage, who was born with dwarfism, is perhaps best known for his turn as Tyrion Lannister, Game of Thrones, and this is, how is this not an opinion piece, was right when he slammed the planned remake despite the novel casting choice for the main character. Disney said it would consult with the little person community. Literally, no offense to anyone, but I was a little taken back. This is a quote from Peter. Literally, no offense to anyone, but I was a little taken back when they were very proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White, he said, but you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, taking a step back and look what you're doing here. It makes no sense. In response to Disney, said it would consult with the little person community to make sure the movie isn't offensive. We should be allowed to have offensive art. There should be allowed to be offensive movies because that's the whole point of art, is to make you think, to make you think differently. And you can take a premise, you can take an ideology, you can have over-the-top white Republican or politician that just wants to burn the whole forest down and stuff like that. You can take those stereotypes and make them characters because they're characters. That doesn't necessarily mean they're true. Or you can take a ginger kid and have him be the school bully like in Christmas Story. I'm not offended by that. I don't think it speaks for me. No one's saying Derek O'Shea is a total douche. Look at his red hair. To avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we're taking a different approach with these 7 characters that and have been consulting with members of dwarfism community, Disney told Hollywood Reporter. Why? You don't do that with any other race. You don't do that with white people. I just... There are certain communities, certain cultures that you can't make fun of, or else you're being hateful. You can't have a different opinion. You can't have a different point of view. You can't have, you can't create a story that portrays them in a negative light. You can't do these things because it hurts the community that's already marginalized. So if you're a part of a protected class, you're painted in only a positive light, as if that's true about anything in life. Haven't you met people of different cultures, or maybe the same culture of you, that some people are like total jerks, or some people are insane psychos, and some people are just really sweet people? But no, you can only portray them in one light. Disney told, the statement also allows Disney to appear that it's not reinforcing harmful stereotypes about little people. Yeah, because why would you enforce a stereotype? What if the stereotype's true? What if it's funny? The statement also allows Disney to, it's not stereotypes, doing differently than the company did in the past. Okay. The company gets to tout its selection of Mark Webb as director. Webb has directed Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, blah, 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 blah. But as my friend and fellow MSNBC columnist Julio Varela wrote in the Washington Post about the remake of West Side Story, okay, blah, blah, blah. I think it's funny when you go down to this. I like this part of the article. Not only is there no reason to remake, for the remake to exist, but it has the potential to anger just about everyone. So this is where we're at in movies, huh? If somebody's angered about something, if somebody feels triggered or offended by something, we need to take it down. We need to do that with our books. We need to do that with our podcast. You know, I've heard this is the era of suppression, the era of censorship, and it's becoming more and more and so as people feel like this is justified. This is a justified talking point. As opposed to you saying, you know what, I'm offended by this, but who gives a crap? I won't watch it and I won't support it, and maybe I'll protest it. Who cares? But I'm not going to say, this needs to stop right now. You're allowed to have freedom of speech. You're allowed to say, I don't agree with this, but it's also a movie that you don't have to watch or you don't have to also play in. But of course, you know, there's the at. It's a potential to anger just about I like that. It has potential to anger just about everyone. Yeah, that's what all art is. That's what all movies have the potential to anger people. Because a lot of it, when you're angry about something, it's like a deep-rooted insecurity about yourself or how you view yourself or whatever, and you're portraying your anger, but in deep down inside, you're just hurting. You're like, that's freaking messed up. You can either laugh about it, turn it off, or do whatever you need to do. But we need to go back to a culture and a society that learns how to deal with criticism, learn how to deal with stereotypes and being hurt by other people instead of just lashing out and becoming the aggressor and being the one that actually does harm. And not celebrate this stuff. People with disabilities will see it for what it is, a cheap gash gab by Disney, which will likely make the cosmetic adjustment to allow money to continue to flow, while conservatives, I like this part, conservatives will complain that Disney has become too woke, whatever the hell that means. Come on. You know what that means. You're creating a new narrative. You're creating a new ideology. You're creating a new way to believe and view the world. You're creating a way in which you want other people to submit to the way you view the world. In order to do so, you cancel them if they don't, or you make them apologize 100 billion times until they're crying and begging for mercy below you. That's what wokeism is, and that's what wokeism always is. As Donald Trump says, everything woke turns to shit. But the bigger problem with trying to rehash Snow White palatable for people with disabilities is that it becomes at the expense of allowing people with disabilities to create their own stories. Simply giving big marquee names chances to portray disabilities means actively relocating money that could have been spent by giving actors with disabilities a fair shot. As a disability movie lover, I find a disability movie lover? I didn't know that was a genre. I found disability representation pitful, and I'm not alone. Everyone's outraged about everything these days. It's like it gets so boring with outrage. That's literally what woke is. It's just you're just outraged about everything. You're mad about everything, and you want everyone to just hear your point of view. And if they don't agree with you, then they're bigoted or homophobic or whatever word you want to use, as opposed to just like maybe these people have a different worldview or a different opinion. The University of Southern California's Inclusion Initiative found that only that just sounds like a bloated thing. Initiative found that only 2.3% of all speaking characters in the top movies of 2019 had a disability. And see, this is another problem with wokeism, is that you can't, somebody with disability can go and create a movie and just make it full of people with disabilities, but you have to, everything has to be equitable in movies nowadays. You can't have that in art. It ruins art. It destroys art. It destroys, I know people want to think that it makes it better. It makes it worse. When you're just going around and making sure everyone's equally represented, it's just ridiculous. There are movies about, people of other cultures, and I'm not sitting there the whole time going, God, I haven't seen a single white male in this movie. I am outraged by this. There are so many movies like that, and I don't care. And I think that a lot of these people, this isn't the majority of people, it's just a few with a lot of power, and especially people that write. And so they portray like, this is the narrative. This is what I love when you hear this. The majority of Americans actually believe this, blah, blah, blah. This MSNBC article keeps changing. But I love that this person that wrote the article really emphasized this tweet. Believe me, averages. I think she's talking to people like you and me. Believe me, averages. Oh. You haven't lived until your office. You haven't lived until you leave your office to frat boys drunkenly imitating your walk at a bar as you walk by chanting hi ho, hi ho. And again, you can take that two different ways. You can take that as there's these douchey, drunk frat boys. And maybe this story's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. I always take everything with a grain of salt. I'm not immediately the person that's like, God, that has to be true because the narrative of white male drunk frat boys are always racist and they're bigoted and that's it. And everyone else, every other race is perfectly fine. They're not racist at all. So that fits my narrative in my head. So I'm going to keep going with that. But of course, drunken people, especially if they're kind of douchey, you think they're going to just say something insane? Instead, she could take that and say, you know what? That's funny. You guys are douchebags. Hey, tell your dad I said hi. I know you don't ever have to work a day in your life. You know, you could like give it back to them. But no, we're in a society where we're so overly sensitive about everything, and we allow people to dictate our life. People have said horrible things to me, and when someone says something horrible to me, I make the choice either to give them the power or I keep the power. And by me keeping the power, I laugh it off, or I just go, or I give them a zinger back. Because who knows? Maybe if she like gave him a zinger back, they would all like celebrate her and laugh and then like invite her out to drinks. But I just get so tired of people like just assuming something. And also like, it's okay to paint people in different lights. There are evil people on all sides. And also, it's just a character. It's like hearing that Jon Stewart talking about how the people in the bank, what are they? The goblins in the bank, they're Jews. Because they have to be. Oh. I mean, a bank, money, Jews, goblins, it connects. It just connects and I'm just like, you're just showing how bigoted you are. Okay? You're just showing you know the stereotype, and maybe you can take a moment and laugh about that, or you can just be like, maybe they're just goblins, and maybe that's how she portrayed him. It's like looking at Schmeagol in Lord of the Rings. God, that person looks like me. Does that mean I'm obsessed with rings? I'm so offended by that. Every day in life, you can choose to be offended and allow other people to control your emotions, to control your thoughts and behaviors. But instead, I want to encourage you, instead of looking at movies or looking at art that might offend you, or looking at or hearing somebody saying something that might be offensive to you, I encourage you to take back that power. Say, you know what? I hold the power in this moment, not you. Let me know your thoughts on this.